Is yours working? Mm-hmm.
All right, we're just gonna start easy. Can you give me your name, age, and where you're from?
Okay. My name is Dwight Nixon. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm 37 years old.
And your wife?
My wife's name is Emily Nixon. She's from Springfield, Tennessee. We both are living here now.
Where is your wife now?
Emily went missing 32 days ago.
Do you know what might have happened to her?
No. But I plan to find out.
Did you kill your wife? My name is Kaiser Whitmire. Me and my college classmate Charlie Burris are film students in Nashville, Tennessee. We read about the disappearance of Emily Nixon and her husband Dwight's ongoing search for her while also remaining the primary suspect. We thought it interesting enough, so we inquired about doing this interview. What we thought was going to be a single day of filming turned into much more than that. Something more mysterious, more unexplainable.
911, what's your emergency?
More sinister. A few days after our initial interview, Dwight agreed to walk us through the day Emily disappeared. It happened on an 82-acre farm in Springfield, Tennessee called Howard's Mill. Abandoned for nearly 50 years, the land consists of mostly overgrown fields, some small wooded areas, and a large pond.
That much about it. Oh, he's here.
Okay.
Do you help?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, good to see you again.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Do you mind just walking us through that day, the beginning of the day, up until her disappearance?
Yeah, sure. Emily and I got here probably about 12:15.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We stopped by the nursing home. Emily's mom is in the nursing home.
Oh, okay.
And we made sure she got her meds and talked with her for a minute, then we drove up here. Yeah.
What were you guys doing over here again?
Metal detecting. Metal.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you did bring him in, was there anything off about him?
Nothing stuck out at first. He had a good recollection of the day.
And what were you doing on the property?
My wife and I are amateur treasure hunters.
You ever find anything?
No, it's just a way of spending time together. So we're up here, we're metal detecting, and then we decide, okay, we decide we're gonna split off. Mm-hmm. All right? So I go.
Wait, y'all split off?
When did you decide to go in different directions?
We didn't. Well, I mean, it's what we do. We walk in different directions so we're not covering the same area.
Kind of counter to spending time together, would you say?
And we always agree to meet at a certain middle point. And so we agreed to meet right over here, over that ridge. Do you see way up there where that ridge is?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we agreed to meet.
When he started walking us through the routes that he and his wife took around the property, that's when his story began falling apart.
So you saw her the whole time?
I saw her most of the time, yeah.
Can you show me On the map, the area you covered.
And you know, if you look over this ridge here, you really can't see down into that. So, you know, I figured that maybe she'll come over the hill eventually. So I stopped right about here in this little open space.
And where we found a piece of Emily's metal detector?
And I feel something under my foot.
And did the police come here and meet you here?
Yes. Yes, they couldn't find anything, I couldn't find anything.
While searching the property, police discovered Emily's phone. The following footage was the last thing Emily recorded just moments before her disappearance.
I'm getting a strong hit here. Seems to be about 6 inches down. What do we have here? Dwight's gonna be so mad. He never really finds anything. I'm not sure what it is right now, but it seems kind of heavy and metallic. I'm gonna have to get it home to wash it off.
Emily was born in Springfield, Tennessee.
What y'all posing for? This is a movie camera.
Her dad died when she was 6 months old.
I can't bring no movie camera with you.
So she was raised by her mom, just she and her mom.
I've known Emily since we were kids.
Grew up together, we had lots of classes together, and we just became best friends.
Been best friends since junior high. She was always happy. She always had a smile.
She was sweet, kind-hearted, and hilarious.
Beautiful personality, liked by everyone.
This town has always been really fun. Like for us, we've hung out, we've got our own little places that we love to go, and we've spent a ton of time just running around and being goofy girls.
Emily and I met in 2011.
When he got with Emily, it's like his whole life just changed.
Hi.
Isn't she cute?
He loved Emily. He'd just do anything for Emily.
Happy birthday.
It felt really quick, like pretty quick for her. I mean, that was a unique situation. I wasn't used to her responding so quickly.
It was fast, but he just fell head over heels in love with her.
We got married in 2013.
So Dwight just got to Springfield, Tennessee. You ready for your first pair of overalls?
What, you think we didn't have them in Atlanta in the 1990s? I just hope you don't care if I one-strap them with no shirt, Jodeci style.
Ooh, you know whatever. Well, I think you're gonna love living here. It's a great place to raise a family.
So you're ready for a family?
Maybe.
Robertson County was founded in 1796, the same year the state of Tennessee was established. It is a small town, but we do have a lot of history. We have tobacco, we have the whiskey industry. It's a wonderful place to live.
Been here all my life, so far.
I feel like everyone's family here.
The eagle was picking up baby pigs, and so it had to be killed.
Did you ever regret moving here?
No, not at all.
Even if it means you never see Emily again?
No, I don't regret moving here, and I definitely don't blame moving here for Emily's disappearance.
Is it possible that Emily just left on her own?
Absolutely not. She wouldn't just leave.
There was something about Emily's disappearance that never seemed right to me. The clues weren't there. In my experience, when somebody goes missing, there's always a clue. We had nothing to go on.
She just flat disappeared.
He was the last person to see her. That's going to obviously put him at a higher level of suspicion.
Do you think her husband had something to do with it?
Man, I hate to speculate on stuff like that.
Well, in this case, with she being gone a month, I would likely expect to find a body instead of a living person.
Of course, everybody's got an angle. Who you gonna believe?
Were there any problems in your marriage?
No, we didn't have any problems. Not any different than any other couple.
Any major fights recently?
No.
Do you recall that argument?
Yes.
We were able to uncover a bit more evidence about the relationship between Mr. and Mrs. Nixon.
Sometimes people are drunk and they fight, and she spent some time with me when she felt like she needed to let him cool off.
He would never physically hurt her, would he?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He was not brought up around violence at all. He comes from a family where the women were very well respected, and that's just something totally against his nature.
I warned her that it could possibly be on the verge of actually turning violent.
Even if you get angry with them, you walk away.
We are just friends. Just friends. You knew that when we moved together. Why didn't you tell me about it? You knew about this. I knew you dated him in high school. I didn't know you got lunch with him.
That's kids. Detective Lada believes you killed your wife.
Of course he does. But what you should concern yourself with is what he's not saying. This has happened before, right there on that same property.
People still say things happen around here all the time. You can ask anybody in the community, and they've had some story or odd occurrence out here.
It's kind of a local novelty. Kids talk about the place, and they dare their buddies to go over there and walk around or whatever.
We went there one time. We'll never go back. Our friend went in, and he didn't come out for 15 minutes, and when he came out, he was crying.
As soon as we pulled out, my truck just went, started, giving out. And he said he saw something in my headlights. He said he saw some woman or something. I'm pretty sure it's like a ghost because it was moving slightly. And I don't believe in no supernatural, but I did run, though.
I look up, and there's like, there's just this silver thing just sitting in the sky. And I was like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I've seen some lights.
And this, all this whole area, this whole county is known to have odd events happen. It could definitely be the reason you have strange events and occurrences on Howard's property. All this property was sacred hunting ground to the Indians, so they supposedly protected this property by way of blessing these rocks in the graves. Incidentally, I don't mess with graves out here because I don't want to start it again, whatever it was.
This has happened before, right there on that same property.
What do you mean? Who this happened to? When?
In 1994, a little girl named Sarah Winston disappeared. Just vanished right there at Howard's Mill.
feed some chips to the birds. Yeah, did you see that blue heron? Want another sandwich, baby?
No, I'm full.
Are you full? Are you saving for cake?
Yeah.
I am too.
It's chocolate cake.
I love you, baby.
I love you too. Do you want another sandwich?
No, thank you. I'm
I'm
good.
gonna go play.
Be careful up there. All right, love you too.
You don't like that cheese, do you?
I don't think I do.
Look how fast she's running in her boots. She's running now.
Sarah.
Sarah, you okay?
She's playing around.
What? I don't see her.
Uh-huh.
Sarah?
Sarah.
See.
Sarah.
Let's see what happened.
Come on now. Sarah. Sarah. Sarah! Sarah! Good Lord. Where'd she go? Sarah! 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 Oh my God. Oh my God. Where'd she go?
Sarah! We were able to track down the lead investigator from the Sarah Winston disappearance, retired Detective Dan Thompson.
So you worked the Sarah Winston case?
Yes, I did. It was a real tragedy, that one.
What do you remember about it?
Oh, I remember everything. Everything. She went missing practically right in front of her parents. Broad daylight. Yeah, that was a strange case. There was an open field. They were out, nobody around, and next thing you know, gone. Nowhere to hide, nobody anywhere around, nothing, no sounds. Very strange.
What do you think happened?
I'm not sure. That case was never solved, so I never found an end to it.
We found an address for Roger Winston just outside Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Is that it?
Yeah, this is it.
It was a Saturday. We were celebrating her 10th birthday off old State Highway 41.
The Howard place?
Yeah, we just treated it like a park. Just nobody bothered us there. She liked to run around.
Did you see that blue heron?
She is the happiest kid I ever saw.
I love you, Dad.
And you didn't see anyone else around?
Nah, it's just us. And after, I ran up there.
Hey, baby, come on.
Tried to find her and
Sarah!
see if she was okay, and
Sarah! Sarah!
she wasn't there. She vanished. Poof. It's gone. Gone.
You know, Roger, to say that he went to pieces is an understatement.
After she went missing, he just totally lost himself, lost everything.
It was like all the life had been taken out of him.
He started having to deal with that grief, and the way that he chose to deal with it was, it was an addiction. It ruined his family, and you can't really reason with somebody when they're in such a depression. It hits you the way it hits you. If you think about it, we're all one missing kid away from being a crazy person.
Then he started chasing all these theories.
He's not the person I knew back before this happened.
How can you say goodbye when they're still out there? After she was gone, I went back every day, and then every Saturday, and then once a year, on the day it happened. One year I went, it was 2004, and I got there and it was already dark out. It was sunset, but it was dark. It looked different now. Somebody put a pond in. Almost exactly on this spot where Sarah. Sarah! There was something floating in it. Found this there that night. You know, it was wet, but it was spotless. Just like the day she made it. There's no way this was laying in the dirt, floating in that pond for 10 years.
So what do you think happened?
I think she was trying to come home.
Come home from where?
Sarah in 1994. Emily in 2017. Two disappearances so similar, but over 20 years apart. Are they connected? Or just coincidental tragedies?
That's because she's not dead. She's still out there. Your wife might be too.
We needed a lead to connect Emily and Sarah. Something real. Someone. The day that Emily went missing, why didn't you immediately call the police?
I don't know. I did what anyone else would. But I started yelling for her. I called her cell phone. That took some time.
3 hours?
I mean, look, it took at least 10 minutes going back and forth to the car. Then going to the woods was like another hour. I wasn't thinking about time.
Can I show you something? Do you see that? There's someone in the background.
Why am I just seeing this?
Because we thought it could be you.
That's not me. That's Wayne.
For the first time since we began our documentary, we had a suspect other than Dwight. The Richie farm borders the Howard's property to the west, giving Wayne the most direct access to Howard's mill than any of the other neighbors.
Yeah, I know Wayne. He's kind of keeps to himself. He doesn't do much socializing or nothing.
He's just one of those guys that, you know, he's kind of like the town eccentric.
Just kind of odd, kind of like the rest of us, but ain't him.
You see him sometimes with, you know, he's got a rabbit in his hand that he got on the road. I don't know what he does with it.
No, his job is picking up roadkill for the county. Somebody's got to do it, you know.
I know when my kids were little, I used to go, you know, like to the food store and the toy store. He'd be buying like all this baby food.
I heard a story about him a while back that his mama, he's kind of off. So his mama, he wanted some money from his mama and she told him to go rob the bank. Well, he goes up here to rob the bank and he ain't gonna hurt nobody. But he said, I'm here to get some money. My mama told me to come get some money from y'all. I'm here to rob a bank.
I think Wayne's life was probably pretty tough.
at home. I think his dad was pretty rough on him. And his dad was a no-nonsense kind of guy, a hard-working man, hard-drinking guy. And I think Wayne was scared to death of him. And to be honest with you, I probably was a little bit too.
Were you scared of Wayne at all?
No.
I don't think he's dangerous. I think he's just kind of a loner.
Most people just leave him alone, leave him be, because
he'd probably run him off anyway.
He probably would.
That's the way his family's always been.
There's been a lot of kids going to that house. Like, we would normally ride four-wheelers down our road and stuff, and we never do that anymore. He has threatened to kill me and my neighbor.
What's Wayne's connection to the Howard's land?
Well, he kind of takes care of it. It used to be a farm several years ago, but it kind of died out. Now he just does some mowing and things like that.
I don't know why he's mowing that lawn when the Howards left decades ago. Why would anybody do that?
I don't know, but the Howards ain't coming back.
Before he kind of tried to kidnap a girl, I think is the way that it turned out to be. We all just kind of thought that he was strange.
He gave this girl a ride home from school. He didn't stop at her house. He just kept going, and she was gone for a whole hour.
Is Wayne a suspect?
Wayne's slow. He's always been slow. He likes to keep to himself, which upsets some people. Kidnapping? Yeah. Wayne Richie didn't kidnap anybody.
Well, what about Tara Edwards? Although Wayne Richie was nearby during the disappearance of Emily Nixon and Sarah Winston, we wrote him off as a harmless, misunderstood recluse. But then we learned about Tara Edwards.
Yeah, I was 14. We all thought he was harmless. One day, he said he'd take me home. But he just drove right past my neighborhood.
Apparently, Mr. Richie had gone to the school in his car, and my daughter doesn't have a car to drive, so offered her a ride home. They drove towards the house, and when she said, "This is my house, just let me off in front of the house," he kept driving.
Next thing I remember, I just started screaming, freaking out. Next stop sign, I jump out of the car, run home, tell my dad.
I could see right away, something was wrong. I called the cops.
Oh, I remember Wayne Richie very well. It was my second year as a teacher. Wayne was not a very good student, and his heart wasn't in it. Never really got in a whole lot of trouble. He just didn't do much while he was here.
Obviously, he has something wrong.
It was a little awkward because he would come, he was not a student here, but he would come up and even enter the building at times. So we ran him off on a number of occasions.
I didn't think taking a ride with him was a big deal until he had that look that, it was just blank. There was nothing there.
I think it was just a big infatuation on his part that had gotten to a point that it was probably not healthy anymore.
I never thought he was capable of hurting someone until that day.
His intentions weren't good.
Now Wayne, he did have an uncle or a cousin that was on the police force, tried to make it look like it was an innocent misunderstanding. Of course, it went away, and Tara's dad was pretty upset about that.
What I remember what the cops did was nothing.
With Emily and Sarah Winston both missing so close to his property, that's just too much of a coincidence. So yeah, you're damn right I want to talk to Wayne Richie.
Mr. Richie, do you have a minute?
No, I got nothing to say, so.
Do you think Dwight Nixon killed his wife?
No.
Who do you think did?
Nobody killed nobody. It's land on it. Land took whatever it wants. Took her away.
What about Sarah Winston?
Yeah. From the Lopezes.
The Lopezes. Oh, wait. Who are the Lopezes? No, just who are the Lopezes?
Go.
Wayne's mention of the Lopezes led us to a third missing persons case connected to the Howard's property. In 1977, a family of migrant workers vanished, leaving behind their 9-year-old son, Daniel.
My uncle cried out. I looked up and he was gone. Then my father, he fell, dropped straight to the ground. He was reaching up for my mother's dress when he was going down, and she was gone too.
Are you familiar with the Lopezes?
No, I don't believe so. In the 70s, they started entering migrant workers here to work the tobacco fields because they couldn't get other people to work.
Well, you know, the Howards had foreign farm hands come in before anybody else did.
He used a lot of them, Mr. Howard. He's used a lot of them throughout the years.
You remember the Lopez case?
Mm-hmm, yeah. They left and abandoned a little boy, I think. Left a little boy, 10 years old, 9 years old, something like that.
His family went missing, and we took him in for a while, and we were hoping that his family would come back, but they never did. The county came and got him and sent him back to Illinois.
You know, it's really sad, though, that his family left him like that.
I just had a hard time believing they ever would abandon their son. They were such a tight-knit family.
Do you have a case file I could look at?
I don't. Now, that was Jennings' case, and he's passed on now, so I'm sure there's something in the archive. We can go look it up.
I'm Helen Jennings. David Jennings was my husband.
What did he do?
He was on the police force here in Springfield. He was on the force, gosh, for 40 years plus, and he was promoted to detective in 1969, I think.
Is there a lot of detective work in this town? It seems pretty quiet.
Well, it does, but you'd be surprised. We had a lot of crime here, including murders.
Any cases that stood out in particular?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. It was the Lopez case. It just got under his skin more than anything else he ever worked on. They never found any trace of the family. They left everything behind. The boy even said they disappeared into the earth.
Did he believe Daniel's story about being sucked into the earth?
You know, he believed there was a logical explanation to it. He investigated sinkholes, earthquakes, anything that he could find that would prove the boy's story, but sad as it was, the Lopez family abandoned Daniel.
We were able to track down Daniel Lopez, who is now living in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Daniel?
Yes.
Hey, Dwight.
Hey, how you doing?
This is Kaiser and
Pleasure,
Charlie.
Pleasure. How's it going?
You ready to talk?
Yeah, come on in.
All right. Let's start with you telling us who your parents were.
My parents were migrants. We all traveled together.
So what brought you and your family to Howard's Mill?
Howard's Mills was a big tobacco farm. We spent many months there.
Do you remember a man named Wayne Richie?
He lived nearby. We spent some time together. We didn't have much in common, but neither of us really was around other kids.
Tell us about what you remember about the day your family disappeared.
It was Late afternoon, I was about 20 steps from the old barn. My family was out in the fields loading up the pickup truck with the day's crop.
Can you describe that field?
It was directly behind the house. The ground dipped down and started to spring right back up into a ridge. They were about halfway up the hill, maybe about 100, 150 yards from the house. My uncle cried out. I looked up and he was gone. Then my father, he fell, dropped straight to the ground.
You remember it that well?
Yeah, you couldn't forget something like that. I got scared, so I ran. Went back to the last spot where I saw my family. After a while, a police officer came and got me.
I want to show you something. This video was taken in 1994.
No, I'm just gonna go play.
All right, honey, I love you. Be careful up there.
Dad.
All right, love you too.
You like that cheese, do you?
I don't think I do.
Dude, look how fast she's running in her boots.
Oh my goodness, honey.
Her birthday boots.
She's fast.
Oops.
Yeah, yes. That's exactly what happened.
Her name is Sarah Winston. Okay. Daniel, she's still missing. Nothing was ever found except for that pink and white hair bow that you can see in the recording. That same hair bow was found 10 years later, floating in a pond that was built on the site of her disappearance.
So Dwight is out there marking the location where the Lopezes were working, and we're about 20 steps from the old barn, which would put Daniel right here. Hey, how's it going out there?
Well, based on Daniel's account, this is the spot where the family disappeared. The family was gathering supplies right here where I'm standing. And guys, looking around, I don't see any obstacles or anything that you can hide behind.
So how fast do you think it would take to get to the tree line right behind you?
Well, I mean, if you were running really fast, maybe 20, 30 seconds.
So if Daniel looked down for a second, they could have easily ran towards those trees.
I mean, it's possible. But there are plenty of easier ways of abandoning your kid than just waiting for him to look down and then running to some trees.
Yeah, he's right.
Emily disappeared here.
The Lopez is over there, up that ridge, about 100 yards.
Yeah. And then Sarah Winston disappeared over this ridge near the pond. We're talking 3 different disappearances, all on the same property.
To get a better idea of the geological layout of Howard's Mill, we visited the Robertson County Archives.
We've got owner names on the back side.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so Howard's Mill should be there.
Whoa.
So that bounds up to Highway 11 and mile marker 42. That is really interesting. You notice it's a triangular piece of property. You seldom ever find triangular pieces of property like that one anymore.
Yeah, I see that. Are there any other properties like that here in Springfield?
I doubt it.
Originally, it was Pickett's Mill. It was named after John Pickett, who was the man who built it. John was born in Virginia, and he and Thomas Kilgore established Cross Plains, Tennessee, near the Red River. About 3 years after that, John and his wife Hannah moved 3 miles to the east and built the mill. In 1971, the Howards came into town from St. Louis, and they bought the mill from one Maudie Lewis, that's Lewis Lewis, and she was a direct descendant of the Pickett family.
Are you aware of any disappearances that have happened on the property?
You mean Grant Pickett? Grant Pickett vanished in plain sight of his family. Story goes that he was working in his field, and his son, who was climbing a tree, fell out of the tree and broke his arm. He started screaming. So Grant goes running toward his son, and his wife, Mary, who was in the house, goes running as well. Mary's closer, she gets to the boy first, and as Grant Pickett is running toward his wife and screaming child, he vanished. Never heard from again.
Do you believe the story?
So this book should contain the current deed for Miss Rebecca Howard. All right, here we go. So it is currently Rebecca Howard's property to do with as she pleases. Now, I've heard a rumor that Miss Rebecca wrote a will and that it says that she's giving this land to the city at her death.
So the city has no jurisdiction over the land?
That is owned by Rebecca Howard, period.
You got it? Good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Got something here.
Be careful. A lot of glass.
What is that here?
It's the Howards. You guys see this door? It locks from the outside. We've got some kids' clothes over here.
The Howards didn't have any kids.
I thought they didn't have any kids either. Again, here we are. Same thing. Lock is on the outside of the door.
Thank God, it's a door.
Wait a minute. I got something. What is this?
A box?
It's like a music box. Then I've got a box here. Wait a minute, I got something. Pictures. It's a little girl.
Who is she?
I don't know.
the Howards didn't have any kids.
I thought they didn't have any kids either.
I don't remember the Howards having any kids.
Yeah, I think they did have some kids, a boy, I believe. But then again, they had a lot of farmhands over there, so it could have been one of them.
I can remember one time my old truck broke down out close to their farm, and they were nice and kind enough to let me use their phone. And I think I remember a girl being there, but I don't recall them ever mentioning her name or anything. And like I said, that was back in the 70s.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't able to find any records that the Howards had a baby. Given this is a rural area, it's pretty common that a lot of people had children at home.
After trying to reach Rebecca Howard by phone, we decided to make the drive to St. Louis to see her in person.
So the Howards had a kid also went missing, or at least nobody can find him.
So what does that mean?
I don't know what that means for Emily yet. But between Sarah, the Lopezes, and this, it makes me wonder how big this thing can get.
After the Lopez incident, the house didn't feel like home anymore. It felt cold, soulless. I started feeling like people were watching me.
There's been a recurrent theme in a lot of the sightings in the area from people who really have no contact with one another, and that is of these tall, slender figures who are watching. They call them the Watchers. People have seen them on the perimeter of their fields. People have seen them in their barns, in the haylofts.
They were all lined up on the horizon. I called Glennis a miracle. We tried for 15 years, prayed. I was nearly 40 when I found out I was expecting. She was playing like she always was. I went down to tell her supper was ready. Seemed like she was talking to someone, but there wasn't anyone there. Just before I got to her, the lights went out. But then there was this sort of different light. I yelled for her. They were telling me to leave. Like that land was theirs, not mine. I thought if I did what they said, they'd bring her back to me.
So in 1988, a young girl was found wandering outside the Howard's property.
Right.
She was claiming that she was Glennis Howard. Do you remember that case?
I remember the case. Now, it wasn't my case, but I do remember it. It was pretty standard, really. Missing girl, you know. It's a shame, though, nobody came claiming her.
No one here now was here back then, but I was able to find a little info for you. We have anywhere from 10 to 15 kids here at a time. Glennis was here for 2 months. She came with a kind of a sad story back in 1988. Didn't know much about herself, and our records show she didn't talk much. Someone found her walking down the road barefoot, and nobody had reported any missing children at the time, and nobody came forward to claim her. And she did say her name was Glennis Howard.
We checked out the Howard's house. It was about a mile from where the girl was picked up at there, and they hadn't been there, I guess, probably 10 years at that point. So, I mean, it's common enough last name, Howard, but no.
Yeah, I remember that. Real sad story. Got a call about a kid walking down the street alone. Pulled up in my car, checked her out. She was in really bad shape, barefoot, unkempt hair, looked like she hadn't eaten in a week.
Do you know if she was related to anybody in town?
Nothing. Nobody reported anybody missing. Not much more I could do beyond that.
The last time we heard anything about Glennis, she had been placed with a good foster family, and they decided to give her a permanent home. The story had a very happy ending.
Well, I only can give you what's non-confidential information. She was in our care facility for a short amount of time, and then she was placed with a foster family by the name of Lassiter.
Okay, here's what we know. In 1979, the house left Springfield. And according to everyone who remembers, that house remained empty ever since.
Then in 1988, this little girl shows up, claiming her last name is Howard. But the Howards didn't have any kids. And if they did have a daughter, she would have to be, 11, 12 years old by 1988? So the dates just don't add up. I mean, if this really is the Howard's daughter.
I say we find her and ask her some more questions.
Look at Mommy! Behave like a little lady. You are 6 years old. Stop jumping on that couch.
So, how was she as a child?
Oh, she was a very special child. Yeah, smart, funny. You couldn't ask for a better daughter. Sweet as could be. But we knew right away. We just knew that we were meant to be a family. That's all I can tell you.
1989. And that's whose birthday? Yours. Is it your birthday? Huh? Wow. What have you been doing today?
All right. If you don't mind, for the camera, would you tell us your full first name and last name?
It's Glennis Williams. Williams is my married name. I got married last summer.
So, tell us a little bit about your life growing up.
Well, you know, I'm happy to tell you the story I told everybody else back then, but I was little. I was really little though, so, you know, I think memories can change. But I was playing inside. I mostly only played inside, and somehow I ran out. I don't know, I was chasing something, or it's not really clear, but I got all turned around and I couldn't find my way back. Now, you know, it kind of feels like a dream. Like, you know, pieces don't really fit, but you swear it was real, swear it really happened. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I must have walked for a really long time, and then I think someone drove by and then they called the police.
Glennis, do you remember why you said your last name was Howard?
I thought it was. Even now when I hear it, it still sounds like my name.
Feels natural.
Yeah.
Do you remember your parents?
No, not really. I remember my dad. I remember my dad a little bit. You know, and people told me about the real Howard family, started to talk to me about it, and told me that there was no way I could be their kid, that even if they had a kid, it wasn't possible I could even be theirs because of my age and the time they lived in the house, you know, timelines and stuff, and it just, nothing that would make sense to me, a little kid. You know, a big part of me always felt like I was Glennis Howard, and so when I was 16, I actually looked up the real Howard family, called them up, and I thought, you know, if we could see each other, it would clear everything up. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
people
yeah.
would believe me, but I was wrong. I had never seen them before. You know, I've pretty much given up on that dream. I used to have this fantasy that my real parents, my birth parents, would come back for me, you know? Like they didn't abandon me, they just, you know, lost me in an accident or something. I used to have a lot of fantasies back then. That I was a princess or, you know, a time traveler. Yeah, it makes sense of all the
Very, very
craziness.
yeah, it makes sense of all the missing pieces, you know. I just you know, I always wanted to be something special.
Speaking of missing pieces, I've got something I want to show you. Do you?
I know this.
You recognize that box?
Yeah,
We found that in the Howard's house. It was buried with some other things.
oh, yeah, I remember this. I think you wind it on the bottom here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Yeah, this was, this was mine.
Why would they bury all of her things here?
I don't know. What do you think? Is she really a lost child of the Howards? As intriguing as that theory sounds, we needed to focus on the more plausible explanations. During our investigation, Dwight was called back in for questioning, as more evidence of his possible involvement was discovered.
Do you know this man?
I don't believe so.
Edward Baker.
Yeah. Sure, I'm sorry, yeah.
Were you aware that your wife knew him?
Yeah, they went to high school together.
Edward Baker was born and raised in Springfield, Tennessee, and was a close childhood friend of Emily. Their friendship turned into something more when they dated throughout high school.
They were sweet together. I thought they were the perfect pair.
They seemed pretty cute, you know, very flirtatious around each other. High school sweetheart.
Eddie was 2 years ahead of us. Yeah, they were always together.
When she went off to college, they broke up, unfortunately.
They tried the long-distance relationship, but it just didn't work out.
So when she came back here, they started hanging out again?
Yeah, I mean, he worked a few blocks away in this office building over here down on 8th, and he'd come by for lunch or, you know, just to visit.
When Emily moved back to take care of her mom, of course, Edward came around and we hung out with everybody, so it wasn't unusual for him to be around.
They still hang out time to time. I'm not sure if Dwight knows about it, but I mean, it's just a friendship. Everybody knows that.
Thank you for moving here.
You're welcome.
Dwight's not really a fan of Eddie. I mean, can you blame him?
Dwight just, like, really did not like that Edward was coming around, and I think he kind of let that be known.
I think when you start making that family.
You want to start right now?
Oh, we can just pull over right now.
No. Let's at least get home first.
Were you aware of Edward and your wife's history?
Yeah, they dated in high school.
Did you know that they were having an affair?
What makes you say that?
Mr. Baker came forward yesterday. He was a little worried, feeling guilty. Thought that this information might help our investigation a little bit.
We're just friends.
Just friends. Why didn't you tell me about it?
Mr. Nixon, I don't have a body and I don't have a murder weapon, but what I do have is a motive.
Remember to breathe, remember to hold your head high. Remember to smile some and just listen a while. You've practiced enough, yeah, that's what I told myself.
Look at that.
So I nervously asked you your name, and that's when the world seemed to stop. And I died when you looked up like that, took my breath away, knocked me flat on my back. I knew right then and there, in that first second stare, it would be a while. Everything falls out of focus. You walk through the door. The one thing that's clear to me, helplessly hopeless. I'm alright with that in a room full of people. Everything else disappears.
We need to keep our focus on Wayne Richie. Wayne practically grew up on the land, and his house is nearby. I've been looking at the city history, old maps and things like that. So what I'm wondering is if this entrance, or this cave actually, right here near Wayne's house, runs towards the Howard's land, or maybe even underneath. We need to check this out and see if we can find any tunnels or anything like that that maybe some of these people could have just fallen into.
We headed out to find the cave and see if it could answer some of our questions. Not knowing the exact location of the cave, we decided to split up to cover more ground. Charlie and I headed directly east, while Dwight headed northeast. Yeah. Dwight, do you copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just testing the range. Do you see anything?
No, nothing yet. You guys?
Just woods. Charlie, come here! I found it!
Seriously?
Yes, it's gotta be. It's the only cave we've seen. Come on. Dwight, do you copy? Dwight.
He's probably out of range.
Probably goes down 20 feet. It's narrow.
Okay, I don't want to risk the camera. I'll get you shoot on my phone.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
All right,
How'd
be
you get
careful.
down there so fast?
You know, that's a good question.
Do you want to try Dwight again?
Yeah, good idea. Dwight, do you copy? Dwight? We're in the cave right now. Just want to let you know if you can hear us. Ooh. I feel like our range is still bad. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. All
Look
right.
at this thing. It's like an altar or something.
Oh, it's crazy. Look how steep it is. I just wonder how far or where we are in relation to the Howard's property.
Huh?
Kaiser? Kaiser?
Hey, I'm right here.
Okay.
I went down this way and it dead-ended. Did you find anything? I found this weird little entrance thing over here, and I don't know. I feel like it might be a cave-in.
A cave-in?
Yeah, I mean, the walls are wet.
But the only thing is it's blocked off up ahead. I don't think we can go any further.
All right, you guys okay?
Yeah, we're good. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. You find anything?
Well, we didn't make it too far in before we hit a blocked part, but it looks like it might be a cave-in, though. The rocks are wet, water running down the walls.
So maybe the cave is under the pond. After exploring the cave, I think at one time the cave extended past the area which is now a pond. Take a look at this. Here's the cave. And here's where Sarah Winston disappeared, in the same spot where the pond was built 6 years later. Emily's metal detector ring, where we found it. This is where the Lopezes disappeared, the Howard's house. It's all one line. So if the cave does run underneath all these spots, this could all be connected.
There are caves everywhere in Robertson County, and we are told that they are all connected. And at Cross Plains, you have Kilgore Cave, where Thomas Kilgore, the first white person in Robertson County, spent the winter hiding from the Indians. Our Historical Society had our annual picnic there about 2 weeks ago.
If we could get a better understanding of what's below the property, it could help us get answers about the disappearances.
The Viet Cong had networks of tunnels that they used during the Vietnam War. They could come up through one of these openings. They could snatch someone out of the platoon down into the tunnel, seal up the hatch, and nobody would know what's going on. They'd be like, where's Joe? Well, Joe's down in the bowels of the earth somewhere.
Right now, they're going to be running some ground penetrating radar over the top of this site. They'll lay out a grid pattern first, and literally it'll map out every inch. It'll penetrate just like our water sonar does. So if we had any ground that's been disturbed recently or any type of cave system underneath us, it'll pick that up as well. Once they identify a cave or a cavern, we'll be able to identify whether it does connect to any other systems on the property, including the pond.
1, 2, 3.
We're looking at the side scanning sonar, which is directly underneath the boat, penetrates all the way down to the bottom of the lake.
Okay, so if there's a body, it should appear like a white blob or a white...
Yes, on either screen here, it'll come up either white or kind of grayish. It'll pick up anything that might have fallen into the lake accidentally and maybe drowned, such as an animal. So we don't want to put a diver down on something that's not truly a human remains. As you come up here, if you look at where the boat is right now, directly underneath there, you can see a black kind of indentation to the red U, and that's an indication that there is an opening there.
By opening, do you mean like a cave, or?
It can be a cave, or it could be just a really big depression in the bottom of the lake, but that would appear to be a cave. It's going that northerly direction, almost directly underneath where the boat is right now.
So in the same direction as the house?
Same direction as the house.
Have you guys ever found a shaft that connects to a whole cave system?
Absolutely. And that's most of the time what you do find. You'll find a smaller opening that'll lead into a bigger cavern or a bigger opening. Diving in the shaft is extremely dangerous because only one diver can go in at a time. So we're going to take every precaution we can to make sure the divers stay safe.
Which one of you are going down the shaft?
T-Roy.
So you've done this a few times?
Yes.
What's it like down there?
It's tight.
So what we're seeing in it right now is low visibility. You see by the GoPro.
Located the shaft.
Topside copy, located the shaft.
Proceeding down the shaft. The walls are rock solid.
Topside copy. Rock wall, entering the shaft. Real good sign that we're in rock wall, so this potentially could be a cave system. This shaft should connect us down to the bottom. This is not the bottom of the lake. Okay, he's about 10 feet down now.
I've reached the bottom of the shaft. Feeling the walls. Hang on a second. Solid. Looks like I have a dent set here. Solid. Looks like I have a dent set. Topside, we have remains.
Topside copy, we have remains. They have remains. You can start to see a little bit on the GoPro, and you have it here on the sonar. You can see the difference in that whitish gray we were talking about earlier. You can start to see the remains right there.
We don't know what kind of remains, though, right?
We don't know until he can physically and visually get up on top of it.
Definitely remains, float the buoy.
Topside copy. Human remains floating the buoy.
This is Susanna Connor reporting for Channel 2 News from an abandoned piece of farmland outside of Springfield, where skeletal remains of a young girl have been found.
Yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate it. The results are in, the body was identified as Sarah Winston.
I knew she was still out there.
Wait, how did Sarah end up in the pond? It wasn't there in 1994.
So if the Howards left Springfield in 1979 and haven't returned, then who built that pond on their property?
That big sinkhole opened up over there. It was in '98 and just boom, like that.
And that hole was massive. I went over there several times to just stand there and look down in the thing. It was huge.
With the Howards gone, nobody went up there to put any sign to warn people about it.
And a farmer's cow wandered off and ended up in that sinkhole. Fell right in.
We did get her out, though. She's kind of shaken up, but she's okay.
Yes, sir. Because of safety purposes, we agreed to fill the pond in with water. Well, they went in and filled it with like rock and hard clay and stuff just to try to build a base in it where it would retain the water.
Who filled up that sinkhole?
Wayne Richie.
That pond was built by Wayne Richie.
Wayne Richie.
Well, I loaned him the equipment to do it with in exchange for fishing rights, of course.
You know, my first thought was that he drowned her somewhere else, kept her body, and then moved her back to the pond once he built it.
Could Sarah's body have been moved to the pond after she was murdered? We would need to talk to the forensic pathologist to find out.
After we determined that the cause or manner of death was not from gunshot or a stab wound, we then turned our investigation towards drowning since the skeleton was found in the pond. We were going to look at the presence or absence of diatoms.
Diatoms are photosynthesizing algae that are present in every aquatic environment.
When we studied the bone marrow, we noticed diatoms present, indicating that the cause of death was drowning.
Every body of water has its own unique and distinct form of diatom, kind of like a fingerprint.
We took a sample in the pond at Howard's Mill and studied the signature of the diatoms present. Interestingly, it was an exact match to the diatoms present in the bone marrow of Sarah Winston.
The presence of diatoms in the lungs and bone marrow would indicate that the person entered the water alive and then drowned. The absence of diatoms would prove a body had been dumped in the water after they were deceased.
Based on these findings, the science shows that Sarah Winston actually drowned in 2004.
So in 1994, 10-year-old Sarah Winston disappears. In 2017, the body of Sarah Winston is found in the pond on Howard's Mill. But the forensics report shows she drowned in 2004. So that means she should have been 20 years old in 2004 when she drowned. But she was still 10 years old, the same age she was in 1994 before the pond was ever built. Are you confused yet?
Human time travel may not be probable, but it is potentially possible.
Technically, we are all time travelers. In the past 24 hours, I traveled one day in time. I presume that you did too. The real question is whether or not different people travel faster than others. And Einstein thought so. In the case of Sarah Winston, you have forensic proof that a 10-year-old girl disappeared and then drowned at the same age 10 years later. The Glennis Howard story doesn't have the science to back it up, but the coincidence of them both happening on the same piece of land is compelling.
Are you saying you believe that Sarah Winston traveled 10 years into the future, returning to this exact same spot she disappeared, where a pond had been built and then drowned?
You have two related cases of people with age discrepancies connected to the same location, and one of them is still living. I would ask the one that's still living.
Yeah, it's all familiar.
Your old room.
No. No, I've never been in this room before.
But this is the only child's room in the house.
Oh, I don't remember this room. When I remember I took naps, though, upstairs in this room. Yeah, I took naps in here with my dad, but I had my own room, was in the basement. So.
The basement?
Uh-huh. This place is so, I know I was here. I know I was here, it's just crazy, but I felt like it was bigger. It was like twice the size when I was here. I feel like this wall wasn't here. Cause I had like a dresser and.
Shine the light right here. Let me see. You got it? Yeah, this board is. Hold that light right there.
Be careful. Get it? Yeah, be careful. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's something in there.
Yeah. I knew this wall wasn't here. I knew this wall wasn't here.
Camera. Got it.
Yeah, oh my God.
What are you seeing, guys?
Oh my God, this is all my stuff. These are I remember these books. It was up against this wall, but in this picture, I looked at this picture every single day.
Wow. It's still here.
Yeah, I'm kind of in shock right now. I'm shaking. In this bed, this was my bed. Yep, this was my bed, and all my little things. And oh God!
For the second time in 28 days, skeletal remains of a child have been discovered on the abandoned Howard's Mill. Police questioned a suspect, Wayne Richie, after discovering the body of 10-year-old Sarah Winston, who had been missing since 1994.
I don't care what those scientists say. I know Wayne did it.
When I heard about Sarah Winston, I immediately just got chills. That could have been me.
I guess I'm surprised. I really didn't see him as the murdering kind.
Never. I'll never believe that he did that.
Hello?
Hi. Yes, this is Glennis Williams. I was watching the news and the man, Wayne Richie, I think they said his name was, I know him. I know who that is.
You've met him?
I'm positive that that man is my father.
What was your relationship with Sarah Winston?
Mom. Not much, a long time ago.
Why'd you build a wall in the Howard's house, Wayne? Come on now, answer the question.
Wasn't safe.
Wasn't safe for who? Wasn't safe for who?
Glennis, Bobby, wasn't safe for Glennis.
All right, what you got for me, Dan?
Well, the lab results are in, brother. You're not going to believe it. Wayne Richie and Glennis Williams are not related.
Okay.
Rebecca Howard and Glennis Williams are not related.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about?
There's more. Rebecca Howard and Jane Doe are related.
When was the last time you saw your daughter?
June 1st, 1979.
Specific.
It's not the kind of thing you forget.
She went missing. You and your husband didn't tell anyone, you didn't report it to the cops, you packed up, you left most of your possessions behind. Is that right?
Not exactly.
Well, what part of that is not factual?
She didn't go missing. Not exactly. She was taken.
By who? Miss Glennis?
Oh, she don't look like that no more.
All right, wait a second here. How about her? Now, Wayne, I don't understand. Why do you know her?
I don't know who that is.
That's Glennis Howard, the real Glennis Howard.
Wayne Richie didn't recognize the photo of the real Glennis Howard, but was able to identify Glennis Williams, although referring to her as Glennis Howard. He seemed just as confused as everyone else.
First time Glennis went missing, she was just a little baby. That Howard woman, she was scared. They wasn't talking about. And then she was gone just like Daniel's parents.
No, the Howards went away. They didn't disappear, Wayne.
A few years later, I walked through that field and heard crying. Saw a baby out there, Bobby. Glennis come back. Flies was all around her out there in the middle of the field.
Wait, Wayne. You found a baby? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I thought anybody knew. Then they might find out. They might come back for her, take her back where they took her first time. I was just trying to make things the way they was before for her. Figure she's better off.
Why'd you build a wall in the house, Wayne?
Last time I was down there, there wasn't nobody down there.
Okay.
All right? I know that things were getting dangerous down there. Cotton Wind is playing down there. And the pipes were exposed, leaking, seen a rat down there. So I walled it up.
And you buried some children's toys down there too?
Yeah, well, same matter.
This just all seems to point more and more to Wayne Richie. The fact that we have a body in a room that he admits he sealed. Then we've got a body in a pond that he had filled. The question now is, where's Emily?
Are you happy with the arrest? So are we done?
No. I still need to find my wife. Wayne, I need your help.
All right. I mean, I help however I can help.
All right. What I'm having a problem wrapping my mind around is this. You admit to all these things. Building that wall.
Yeah.
Taking that little baby. But what about Emily? What about my wife, Wayne?
I told you, Dwight, I told you from the start I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with that.
Why are you in the video she took right before she went missing? That's you. Standing right there.
Oh, no. If that was me, it's because I go out there. I go out there sometimes, Dwight. I walk around, I hunt. That ain't crime.
No, it's not a crime. But you didn't notice her there. Even though she was talking awfully loud, and she wasn't exactly blending in.
Well, so what? If I did, don't mean I hurt her. Don't mean I done nothing with her. Sometimes I go out there and I watch people a little bit, see if they disappear or whatnot.
Are you saying you saw what happened to her?
No, dog ran off into the wood, right? And I followed the dog into the wood. I figured she went home.
If you don't have anything to hide, why are you always chasing people off that property?
'Cause I want to make sure nobody out there disappears again, right? And I want to make sure nobody else pops up. Like Glennis done.
You just walking by?
I was just walking by. They took her, not me.
Who? Who took her?
I had nothing to do with this. I had nothing to do with it, but
This girl disappeared.
Y'all
this girl disappeared only a few weeks ago. Who took her, Wayne?
Now, you know you got several people out there that claim they saw lights, but there's no proof of that, so we can't go anything there. Now, you've got the Lopezes, you've got Sarah Winston, and you've got Glennis Howard all disappearing from the same land.
Sarah! Sarah! Honey, did you see where she went?
Some people believe, theoretically, that the potential for traveling through time, forward through time, is possible.
In 1979, Glennis Howard goes missing, age 6. All right? She shows back up forensics report that Glennis Howard's body found in a wall dead at age 6. Look, that's 10 years. Sarah Winston disappears at age 10, 1994. 10 years later, forensics again says she shows up drowned, dead, but the same age.
There's also the twin paradox. The idea being that if you take identical twins under the right circumstances, one could travel to space and, returning, have aged slower than the one who remained on Earth.
Now, what's with the 10 years? You tell me how they disappear at a certain age, their bodies are kept, and then they show back up dead at a certain age.
So you're saying that Emily will come back in 10 years?
More importantly, will she show back up in 10 years the same age as when she disappeared?
Maybe Roger Winston's theories weren't so far-fetched. Maybe he's not as crazy as everyone thinks.
Twin Falls, Idaho, 1987. This is an interview with a boy named Cole Thomas, 8-year-old boy. He claimed he'd been missing for 2 days. And when they found him, he'd only been gone, he said, for minutes, okay? So the only thing that he remembered was the distinct feeling of being watched. Texarkana, Arkansas, 2001. Right? I saw my sister climbing through the second floor window, but not really climbing. It was more like she was floating. And when I got to the window, she was gone, right?
And there were triangular lights that appeared at the horizon.
The lights coming in the window.
They would rotate and move.
The lights floating in the distance.
I got a lot of this stuff here, and it's just missing persons and with no recollection of where they've been, okay? Just they all know that they've been watched.
They were all lined up on the horizon, watching.
The entities appear to study their subjects first, as many abducted individuals share the feeling of being watched. Right? Sometimes months before the incident. While there are numerous vivid accounts of abduction, there are just as many lost time incidents, right? The victim goes missing for days, months, even years, with no memory of being gone, and in the case of Marilyn Graham, showing no signs of aging despite being missing for over 10 years. Okay, look at all these, all right? And you want to say that you don't believe?
I'm looking at all this, but what are you saying here?
What am I saying? Just read it.
If the 10-year time travel theory is possible, could it be that Glennis Howard returned to the exact same spot in the basement where she disappeared only to find herself trapped behind the wall Wayne built? Did a starving child try to claw her way out of what would become her tomb? And did Sarah Winston return to the same spot she disappeared where a pond had been built and then drowned? Did Roger Winston just miss an opportunity to save his daughter from drowning the night he found her bow floating in the pond?
I think she was trying to come home.
But then what about the Lopezes? Where did they go? And what about Glennis Williams, who Wayne found in the Howards field? Where did she come from? And then there is a reason why we started this journey. Dwight's wife, Emily. Maybe it all doesn't add up perfectly, but something unnatural is clearly happening on this abandoned piece of land called Howard's Mill.
Now you need to understand, sometimes it takes people and sometimes it gives people. Best just to stay away.
For the first time in my life, I really don't know what to think. I mean, we finally got Wayne Richie in jail. And I don't know if he did it, Kaiser. You got people moving at different speeds, reappearing and disappearing. Little girls just popping up in rooms with no windows or doors. And Emily, can't find my wife. This whole thing's crazy. It's just got my mind just spinning. I feel lost.
So what are you gonna do now?
Keep looking.
Do you think she'll come back?
I mean, yeah, I had to believe that. But if she doesn't, I will be right here 10 years from now, waiting on her.
Falls out of focus, you walk through the door. The one thing that's clear to me, helplessly hopeless. I'm alright with that in a room full of people. Everything else disappears. Everything else disappears. Everything else disappears. Everything else